Fred, this is a special treat for me. This has never happened on my show before. I've been doing this podcast for like 4 years. I get to talk with and interview an author whose book I absolutely loved. And I don't know if anyone else has done this with you, but I would love to like do a little tour of the book with you.
Yeah, I love it.
This is a passage that I just wrote yes, because I think the way you worded it, it's the basis of so much of patriarchy that I am aware of and constantly still feel and I'm fighting against all the time. It's in your chapter called The Epidemic of Rape Culture. You said, in the imaginations of many men, women are property. These same men are often the ones who make and uphold the laws, write the television shows, shoot the films, pen the books, and manage the companies that treat women as such. You can't hurt property. Property doesn't deserve respect. You can't rape property. Property has no control over its own body. The greatest and most pervasive tool of oppressors has always been to erase the humanity of the oppressed. Yes. Wow. That's it, man.
I think I've understood that clearly in concept since I was a kid. As a Black child in America, you're constantly made to feel like you don't exist, right? I think that like you oscillate between hypervisibility and invisibility constantly, being Black in America. And so when I took that concept and applied it to like, oh, like just hearing guys talk, right? Because like I've been many things, and I will say that one of the things that my mom and my grandmother did a great job with, I've never been like a catcaller or anything like that because, it's just never been my way. And I've just never aligned with some of the more like outward ways of misogyny in that capacity. But hearing men talk at fucking dog parks and shit, right? Like, like just, oh, your girlfriend walks away and you're like, oh yeah, like what? And when I thought out why is that, I was like, oh, it's literally for the same reason that this happens in race. You're not meant to be a human. Like she's not meant to be a human. She is meant to be a thing, a fantasy, an aspiration, something for a man to put in his pocket and go wherever he wants with, right? And that's the reality of it.
I believe the philosopher Foucault talked about how ownership of bodies is really the control, and how so much of us, of a capitalistic society, is about really like we don't own our own bodies. The people in power control our bodies, and like we think we have all this control, but even look at the Supreme Court. Like we don't have control over our bodies, and they make us less and less human so that we can be controlled and then othered and then controlled to other and harm folks that the people in charge want to be harmed.
Right. I mean, that's exactly it. I tell people, I think I mention it in the book. I can't remember, but I tell people oftentimes to watch the documentary Exterminate All the Brutes. It's a multi-part documentary by Raoul Peck, and it was on HBO. It should still be on HBO, I'd imagine. And he talks in part about the creation of race as a concept, right? Like that people forget race itself is a newer concept. And to your point, it was made to other people, right? Because if you other people, then you can create more power structures and other them so much so that people feel as if when you do things to that group, oh, I don't have any empathy. I don't have any remorse because they're a lamp. Right. Like, and so that same thing has happened, not just with race, but again, with sex. It's happened with class, right? It's happened with other nations, right? I think back to, I'm sure that you remember the era of 9/11 and like the subsequent, war and terror, so on and so forth. I remember specifically the news would never talk about people in, the Middle East as people. They would always call them insurgents. And I'm just like, I don't know what the fucking insurgent is. I don't like, doesn't sound like anything in New York. I don't anything I'm growing up with. I don't know. Do what you got to do. But that's why you further other people so that you get them as far away from humanity and dignity as possible.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Insurgents. I mean, yeah, it's like we're blowing shit up over there. We're blowing shit up. I just said it. These are people, not shit.
Right. Right.
We're not just blowing up buildings. Like we're blowing people up. We're murdering people. I am so far removed from the reality of that. And it's because the system is working for politicians and everyone in the media, everyone who controls everything. So yeah.